And tonight we continue with part 2 of my exclusive sit-down interview with Rush Limbaugh, where Rush reveals whom he has chosen to take his place as the supposed head of the GOP and why President Obama could soon own the national media. Let's check this out. You came on the air one day and you said, I resign as the head of the Republican.
Titular head.
Sorry.
Titular head of the Republican.
Quoted accurately, yes.
Because I was not the head of the Republican Party. I was named the head of the Republican Party by the White House, by the Obama White House. What they were trying to do was get Republicans, elected Republicans, to throw me overboard, disavow me. What they would love to do, Sean, at the White House level is really marginalize mainstream conservatism and mainstream conservatives, because that's the primary opposition to Obama. And if they could have gotten a couple of Republicans to go out and say, yeah, Limbaugh, he's off the reservation, he's a nut, he's a wacko, it would have been a success and a home run. So that's why they named me the titular head. So I decided to resign as the titular head of the Republican Party and anoint Powell, as they had seen so many of our brains in the conservative, quasi-conservative media and Republican Party think he's the model Republican. Okay, he's the leader.
Well, if he was so accurate in that America's desire for more government, more services, higher taxes, they're willing to pay for them, those are the comments he made, then he seems to be out of sync with even the voters in California, of all places.
Well, that's another. I'm glad you reminded me of that, because he did say Americans want to pay higher taxes and they want bigger government, and then the California vote came. He's clearly, this is my point, he's clearly out of touch, as most people inside the Beltway are. The longer you live in that town becomes your world, and Washington is not America. I mean, it's a great city, there's great things to do there. I don't want people to misunderstand, but the political and social structure of Washington, D.C. bears no resemblance to how life in this country takes place. Government and everything there is number 1, 2, and 3 in everybody's lives. And out in the country, it ain't. Yeah. It's their job. It's their kids' future. It's these kinds of things. And so the idea that somebody who believes government ought to grow and grow and grow is the ideal candidate or identity factor of the Republican Party is absurd.
Do you see any leaders emerging, that some people that you're watching that you like? You were pretty disposed towards Bobby Jindal for a while.
Yeah, you know what I've learned? I'll tell you something. I because of this profile, high profile that has been bestowed upon me, I'm not going to mention names.
But are there people you see?
Yes.
There are.
There are. There are. There are. And I think others are going to emerge as Obamaism continues to happen. I think President Obama is an angry man. They say he's cool and calm. I think he's cold. I think he's angry. The people that he ran around with and who mentored him, that matters. You know, you tried to call attention. You were the first out of the box with the Reverend Wright and the Bill Ayers stuff. Yeah. And people didn't want to hear it because they have a cult-like association and attachment to Obama. But the fact of the matter is, the way to understand him is if he wants to return the nation's wealth to its rightful owners. He comes from a belief that those in America who have succeeded have done so on the backs of the poor and the disadvantaged. They've had their wealth stolen from them. That's why he wants to cap CEO pay. That's why he doesn't want them, the chief, flying their jets to Vegas. He can take 2 G5s and 3 helicopters to New York for a date that you and I pay for. But if I pay for it, even myself on my airplane, I get castigated because it's somehow not cool. And I think if you want to understand what this man is doing, what his policies are about, returning the nation's wealth to its rightful owners, that's how the UAW, the union, ends up with a major ownership stake in Chrysler and GM.
And debt holders are put aside. Now, hang on a second. If Karl Rove is right and he's arrogant, and Rush Limbaugh is right and he's angry, and Sean Hannity's right, he's radical, and you've made the same point as I have, that's frightening for America. If all of that, because I think it is, I think the America we knew, Rush, I think it is going away, and I don't think people see what's happening, and I think by the time it's all finished, we're going to have trouble.
Well, that's it. You know, I'm not yet fatalistic about the country. Yeah. There's still time for this to be stopped. There are the elections in 2010, and there are the elections, of course, in 2012. If you look at polling data, his approval numbers are pretty steady at 63, 64. That is much, I think, guaranteed by the state-run media and the way they report. But if you look at polls on issues, issue after issue, you'll find that on most of them, the majority of the American people don't want Gitmo closed. They don't want bailouts for General Motors. Most of the American people, a clear majority, disagree policy-wise with everything he's doing. Yet, he has this wildly high approval rating. He's very charismatic, demagogic, and it's not what he says that has people captivated, it's how he says it.
Obama said to the BBC, the U.S. can't impose its values on other, you know the quote I'm saying, cannot impose its values on other countries.
Yeah, but see, that's a typical Obama straw man argument. He comes up and says, America, we can't impose our values. Well, when do we? And what are our values? The next part of the question, what are our values? Freedom,
liberty,
democracy. And he says those are universal. So after he says we can't impose our values, he then he defines our values. You can't impose freedom. We liberate people. Somebody's going to have to tell me, with Mrs. Clinton, who's been marginalized, by the way, she's over at State Department with nothing to do, she's running around the world telling other countries they have to do gay rights the way we do. I think that's imposing our values, his values, on the rest of the world. I think, and there's one other aspect of this. Yeah. Somebody's going to have to convince me I'm wrong. I think Obama got something against Israel. This, letting Iran do this, telling Israel it's got to stop, imposing values? Hey, Mr. Netanyahu, stop doing your settlements. Stop defending yourself. Who's imposing what on whom? It's Obama imposing his view of things around the world.